We once had a project from the apostles to create a calendar. We once had a project from the apostles to create a calendar. With that, I would like to say, Kal Halal, Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Bahashim, Ruach Wadash, Thawara, Yahweh, for giving us Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles of GMS who have the 100% spirit of Yahweh Bahashim Shai in them. Double honors to the CT bishops, elders of GMS, our big brothers. Greetings and salutations to the brothers in this country and all over the world who are prophesying in the true name of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai, which is none other than the power of the nation of Israel, which consists of you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, and anybody who are descendants from those people on their father's side. Shalom to those who are scattered abroad. All right, shalom to the Akim and Akwath. I'm Yahikwab, Lord willing, serving the King of the universe. All right, King Yahweh Shai from the power of Yahweh. And again, once again, this title is We Once Had a Project from the Apostles to Create a Calendar. All right, and this is Lord willing doing this show, to back up the apostles they've made. Apostle, starting with Apostle Zahar, Apostle Kabar, and Apostle Ramlab. They've done shows on, many shows on the Sabbath and the whole camp, but in particular this week, and even also yesterday, Apostle Patar, Apostle Kabar did one. So I'll post that in the description, and Apostle Ramlab did one this morning, which Lord willing moved me through the Spirit, the Holy Spirit, Lord willing, to back him up through the Spirit, and so I thought I'd share what the apostles did. This is like back in 2010, 2011 or something like that. 2010, 2011, 2012. I think 2011, around that time that, they gave us a project. This is the time when we were, they're putting us through a lot of tests, to sharpen us up, which is, which what a good teacher would do, which what men of the Lord would do, unlike other camps, But anyway, the point is that they gave us a project, to create a calendar and to teach us to learn how to do it on our own, So basically, this is what the show is going to go into, basically to prove that the Sabbath is the new, the new moon. The new moon is the Sabbath. Brings in your Sabbaths and your seasons, and it keeps the year in a chronological order. And so really, I'm just going to go to Leviticus 23rd chapter, and bring in a few key points, words. But first and foremost, let me just say this before I make the major point. I want to go into the word calendar, which is heavy. The word calendar basically goes into the word new moon, all right? And it means to call out. We're going to go into that. Going to go into the word Abib, the first month of Abib, which what it means, which also means, was translated to not translated, but also means Nisan, which is a Babylonian word. And the last month of the year, which is Adar, which, I called Pastor Ramlab just to make sure everything was on point. And he told me that Adar is really a Babylonian word, of that month. So that's not really Hebrew, okay? This referenced the book of Esther too. You'll see the Esther, because the last holiday, the last holy day of the year amongst that the Lord gave us for Israel is Purim, all right? And Purim, the day after the Purim is what begins the new year, okay? And the first month, so the last month is Adar, which is a Babylonian word, and then the next month would be, right after that day would be the month of Abib, okay? So we're going to go into that, and just mostly words, just going into, and a few scriptures that I have. But again, just like Pastor Ramlab confirmed me, because I had a question for him before I did the show, is that I thought for some reason Purim passed, but that wouldn't make sense, because when I was doing the research, Purim is the last month of the year, which mean that that it would be around springtime. We're still in winter. But of course it was Hanukkah. I knew it was either or, but he confirmed me. But again, what I was gonna say, that basically the major point is that, technically, that even we're rehearsing the righteous acts. So there's no, even though we make the calendar, starting from the top, from the apostles. I believe Apostle Rambam, he's actually in charge of that. That's why I call him too. To make the calendar for the year, it's still not technically accurate, because of the Gregorian calendar. We're still kind of going off in some ways the Gregorian calendar, because Esau just freaking, flipped everything upside down. And so it's still not technically right, but we're very close through the Spirit, because it's according to the seasons, And these definitions of these words will explain how here at GMS we're accurate, well, not accurate, but very close to what it is. But when the Lord comes back, like Apostle Hart said, everything's going to be exactly the way it's supposed to be, and to the pinpoint nanosecond of every new moon, the Sabbath, to the holy days. You know what I mean? Everything's going to be 100% accurate. So I just wanted to make that point. But it's important because that shows faith, that we're practicing these things. We're worshiping righteous acts because we care. Starting with the apostles, that's what they did, is to make us sharp, to critically think, test our critical thinking skills. I don't like to use the word fun, but when we did that was a fun, project and an exercise that they had made us do, So with this exercise approved that there's no Saturday to Sunday, that kind of crap, that your Sabbaths and your new moons will be bringing your Sabbath, bringing your holy days. And that's how, which you bring in your months, that's how the years are chronologically kept in order. All right. So let me bring up, before I go into the definition, let me bring out these precepts real quick. Let me bring in that point on practice. Right. This is a rehearsing of righteous acts. This is Judges, right? And why it's important? Because when you practice, which proves we need the Lord, but when you practice something, for example, Michael Jordan, they said, if you look at that documentary, Last Dance, they said he practiced even harder than he played in the games. Why? Because it's when you practice, you care because you want to win the game so bad. You're going to practice as hard as you can to execute when game time comes, right? So that means you care. If you're not practicing, and when the game comes, you're not going to be ready. Same thing with Michael Jackson, his docu, This Is It. If you look at his rehearsals and him practicing even before then with Thriller and these documentaries, he was practicing his ass off, right? Sweating until dusk to dawn to get it pinpoint right for when it was actually time to perform. So same thing for us. We're practicing the best way we can, Lord willing, by faith, right? In this time before the Lord comes back, because when it's time to perform the real deal in the kingdom, we can be right. But it's all through Yahushua anyway. So this is Judges 5:11. It says, they that are delivered from the noise of the archers. The noise of the archers represents what? The nuclear destruction that's going to come upon America. All right. Or just like a bow and an arrow, they're called archers, right? These missiles are going to be shut off on America, Babylon the Great, to destroy. So they that are delivered from the noise of the archers, we're going to be delivered from the deliverer himself, Yahushua, right? In the places of drawing water, there shall they rehearse the righteous acts of the Lord. So what's the places of drawing water? Proving that this place, Babylon the Great, that's going to be destroyed by the noise of archers, right? The nuclear missiles, right? It's a place of drawing water because drawing water represents working and work, or more so slavery, right? That's what slaves would do, would draw water, fetch water for their masters. You know what I mean? So that was a allegory of the children of Israel rehearsing the righteous acts in the place that they were going to be enslaved, right? So that's where we're going to be delivered. The same place we were doing slavery, the same place we're going to be delivered, which is everything, all prophecies point to Babylon the Great, America. So again, they that are delivered from the noise of the archers in the place of drawing water, there shall they rehearse or practice, right? The righteous acts of the Lord, the commandments, even the righteous acts toward the inhabitants of his villages in Israel, then shall the people of the Lord go down to the gates. So proof right there. Let me get another quick precept of, that Esau, proving that he's the devil, kind of fucked up, the timetables. Excuse my French. All right, but Daniel 7:25. Then I'll go into these definitions. All right. So, the point that, again, well, let me just read it. Daniel 7:25. It says, and he shall speak great words. He shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High. Who's going to speak great words? Well, part of the great words that he speaks against means adverse, or a foe, or an enemy. To the Most High is the ones that go against the natural order of things, the natural laws, the commandments, nature itself, and the people of the Lord, and his truth himself, right? Committing blasphemy, depicting the Most High and the Lord as a leopard, right? With dog stringy hair, right? This is this man. But part of it is changing the seasons. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints, right? By slavery, by lying of the Most High. We are the saints, right? Psalms 147 or Psalms 148. It says, and think to change times and laws, and they should be given into the hand until a time and times and divided of times. Let me read it again. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws. All right. So how does he change times and laws? By, hence daylight savings. And then also you have what we're talking about here, right? Again, we're rehearsing the best way we can according to the new moons, right? It starts off your whole, that brings in your month, which brings in your years, right? But again, we can't keep it totally accurate because Esau has messed with the times, okay? And they shall be given unto his hand until a time and times and dividing in times. But the judgment shall sit, and they shall, which means the slavery. But the judgment shall sit, and they shall take away his dominion. The judgment, what? A set amount of time that this devil's going to rule, the false accuser, right? The triumphing of the wicked is short, but for a moment, right? So, but the judgment is set is when they're going to stop, which is judgment day, right? And they shall take away his dominion, right? His rulership, the Lord Yahweh Shai, from the power of the Most High, to consume and to destroy it unto the end. Yeah, so these nuclear missiles are going to consume their dominion by fire, right? And it's going to be destroyed by the Lord and his chariots, and the kingdom and the dominion, or the rulership and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom. Isaiah 45:17. And all dominions shall serve and obey him. Right, starting with Yahweh Shai. He's the ruler of this universe, from the heavens down to the earth. He's going to claim his throne on earth with his joint heirs, the elect. Hitherto is the end of the matter. Okay, that was it. So just wanted to explain that. That's 13 minutes. Explain again that we're rehearsing the righteous acts. Okay. And with rehearsing is practice and proves that we care, unlike other camps. All right. And it's definitely Monday, Saturday, Sunday. Now, let's go to the word calendar. I'll just show you real quick. Okay, we have the word calendar here. This is the etymology of the word calendar. Right? So it says here, take that glare out. Oh, yeah, take the glare. It says, right? So it says calendar, etymology, right? The calendar, the year is divided systematically into days and months, right? Because we know 12 months bring in a full year. The year is as divided systematically into days and months, right? Table showing divisions of the year. Those are the months. You divide the year into 12 months, which make a year. So from Old French calendar, which means a list, register. So again, the months are a list. It's a register, right? From Latin, calendarium, account book. From calendia or calendea, the calends, the first day of the Roman month, when debts fell due and accounts were reckoned. So that's why I believe Apostle R said yesterday in the show, which I posted in the description, that, a lot of the Roman Empire, that's when debts were collected. He gave it like one example. So here we're reading it right here. Okay. So, just like when you pay your rent, you pay the first day of the month, so to keep a record of how to pay, whether it be your cell phone bill or your car note, right? So that's interesting, right? So let's keep reading. It says, this is from calare, to announce solemnly, right? To call out, as the priest did in proclaiming, look at that, as the priest did proclaiming the new moon. Okay, so the word calendar really goes back to the new moon. And as we're going to read in Leviticus, it goes into proclaiming and a holy convocation, which means, those two words means call out. So calendar means to call out, right? Say out loud. So really see that? And look, as the priest did proclaiming the new moon, right? The book of Leviticus represents the tribe of Levi, which are the priests of the nation of Israel, right? As the priest did proclaiming the new moon that marked the calends from Pyru, kele, to shout. In Rome, it says new moons were not calculated mathematically, but rather observed by the priest from the capital, right? So even in each of these kingdoms, like they had certain, prognosticators, or, people observed the stars or whatever have you, each kingdom had that, but the only righteous kingdom, we were called the Levitical priest. The Babylonian kingdom, they were called the Chaldeans, and, warlocks and, stuff like that, right? So the Romans had priests, right, to observe the skies, right, from the capital. When they saw it, they would declare, say out loud, the number of days till the nuns, 5 or 7, depending on the month. You see, you can't get around, depending on the month. Okay. And all right, let's read. The word was taken by early church for its register list of saints and their feast days, meaning a list of documents arranged chronologically. All right, if we go further down, it just means the same thing. We read that, kele, to shout. All right, but I pretty much got that. So I just wanted to start off with that, show that. So if we read that again, it says to announce solemnly, to call out, right? As priest did proclaim a new moon. All right. So again, your month coming from your moon. That's how the word calendar goes back to new moon. Divided systematically into days and months, which bring in your years, right? So let's prove it through the scriptures. All right, so that's heavy, right? All right, so we just proved calendar goes back to basically brings in your chronological order of the year, right? New moon. Okay, we proved calendar. And let me see what else I want to bring out here. Okay, let me go to let's go to, and again, I guess I'll go into the words Abib, right? Which you're about to read. Well, let me see. Let me bring out these scriptures first, and then we'll go to Leviticus, because that's when I could go into the words Abib and Adar, and I could break that down. Okay. All right, let me just bring these scriptures out real quick. One line. This is Psalms 81. All right, now let the scriptures explain. The scriptures will explain, This is Psalms 81. Okay, Psalms 81:3, it says, blow up the trumpet in the new moon, in the time appointed on our solemn feast day. Okay, this is all going to set up where we're going to go to Leviticus 23rd chapter. So again, why? Because Leviticus 23rd is how when we got the project to do from the apostles, we went to Leviticus 23rd chapter, and Leviticus 23rd chapter brings in your Sabbaths, your new moon, your Sabbaths, and your holy days, okay, which is about 8 holy days in the scriptures. Now in the 23rd chapter, around that time, it was only 6, but the ones that were added were in Hanukkah. If you go to the book of Maccabees, explains how that came about, and then also Purim, which is the book of Esther, which Purim means lots, wherein what's his name, Haman, aka vocab, that dork, cast a lot to destroy our people, but the Lord, of course, didn't let that happen. But anyway, so that would be 2 added to the 6, which would make 8 holy days. But again, if you go to Leviticus 23rd, you have the Passover, right? You have the unleavened bread, Feast of Weeks, or the Feast of First Fruits, because the Feast of Weeks is 7 days. Well, we're about to go through all that. I'll read it. We're about to go through that. So we're about to go Salah. All right. So there's 8 holy days. But again, Leviticus 23, you have 6. It shows in there. So again, blow up the trumpet in the new moon, right? In the time appointed on our solemn feast day. Okay. For this was a statute for Israel and a law of the power of the Most High from Jacob, right? Law of the God of Jacob, from the God of Jacob. That's a law from the Most High. All right, let's get another quick one. Isaiah 66:23. Isaiah 66:23 reads, real quick, it says, and it shall come to pass, it said, and it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another, and from one Sabbath to another, shall all flesh come to worship before me, said the Lord. All right. Another point proving that they're synonymous, they're the same. Okay. So Sirach 43:8. Let me get another quick one before I go to Leviticus 23rd, and we go to these words. This is Sirach chapter 43. Sirach chapter 43. I'm going to start from 7. It says, he made the moon also to serve in her season for a declaration of times and a sign of the world. Right? Just like when you go to the book of Genesis, we all know that. Right? The Lord said he created the sun and the moon to bring in, it was for signs, right? Like the sun brings in your eclipses. Well, your sun and moon, they get their eclipse. You know what I mean? That was for signs. And also for seasons, okay? To bring in your holy day seasons, but also to bring in your 4 seasons of the year. Your time of harvest, okay? Your spring, summer, fall, and winter, right? Or really your harvest, your seasons, holy days. So it says, he made the moon also to serve in her season for a declaration of time. Declare means to say out loud. Right, today's allowed. Okay, today's, well, like Apostle Ramla was telling me, there was no months. We called it the first day, the 7th day, or the 15th day. There's days. It went like that. On the 21st day of the 2nd month, we would say it like that. So it says, from the moon is a sign of feast and a light that decreaseth in her perfection. Okay. Okay, again, like when the moon has 4 cycles, and when it fully goes down, like a crescent moon, when there's no more light in the sky, that's basically your new moon, because it decreases, the light decreases in its perfection. Okay, when it's a full moon, you pretty much know you're in the middle of the month. That's like pretty much 2 weeks, right? It will from the when it decreases, and then it goes back and increases, back and forth. So it says, from the new moon is a sign of feast, a light that decreaseth in her perfection. Okay. It says, the month is called after her name. It says it right there. increasing wonderfully in her changing, being an instrument of the armies above, the sun and the stars, shining in the firmament of heaven, the beauty of heaven, the glory of the stars, and an ornament giving light in the highest places of the Lord. All right, so it just said the month is called after her name. The month is called after moon. The word month literally goes back to the word moon. So I don't know what's up with these other camps. They just can't get that. There was no Saturday or Sunday, around the Lord's time or even before. Okay. All right. Now let's go to Leviticus, the 23rd. Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. We'll just finish off there. All right. Salak. All right, so Leviticus 23. Let's start from 1. It says, "And the Lord spoke unto Moses, saying," we're going to look at some words in blue letter too. So it says, "And the Lord spoke unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them," right, "concerning the feast days, the feast of the Lord, right, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations, even these are my feast." So Leviticus 23rd, the Most High talked to Moses, say, "Speak unto my people," right, the nation of Israel, "concerning the feast days, which are the holy days," right, holy convocations, right, which ye shall proclaim. Proclaim means to say out loud, to cry out, to call out. What else means that? The calendar, right? We just looked at the word calendar, right? To be holy. Holy means true. True convocations. Convocations also means to calling together, an assembly. So the Lord's, what he's about to announce, what he's telling Moses to tell the people about, that the Most High is telling Moses to tell his people about the holy days. It says, basically saying, tell these people that what I'm about to tell you is going to bring in our holy days. So this would, you're going to have to cry out. Yeah, so these holy days that Moses is going to proclaim to them, right, is going to bring in the holy days, basically, right? All these holy days are an assembly, right, to honor Yahweh Shem Shai, to bring together, calling together on these holy days, right? We come together, wherever we are in different states in the country, right, to get together to Passover, Feast of Tabernacles, Feast of First Fruits, Day of Atonement, things of that nature, right? We get together and do videos, right? So it says, 6 days shall work be done, but the 7th day is a Sabbath of rest, right? Unholy convocation, ye shall do no work therein. It is a Sabbath of the Lord in your dwelling. So that's how the year begins, with 6 days after your month, right? Is a 7th day after the 7th day after the new moon is your first Sabbath, right? After the first month, it says, of the Lord in all your dwellings. These are the feast days, the feast of the Lord, even your holy convocations, which ye shall proclaim in their seasons. In the 14th day of the first month at evening is the Lord's Passover. All right, so this is the 14th day of the first month, your 2 weeks, right, basically, is the Lord's Passover. All right, and again, to prove that, how would you know to count 14 days or even 7 days? Well, the days don't begin until your month begins, right? So let's look up that word month in a blue letter. So the beginning of the year is your new moon, right? If we look at the word month, let me prove it here. I'll show you right now. In Leviticus 23, this Leviticus 23rd chapter, this is where month is. Hold up, Salat. That Hebrew word, this is Strong's H2320. The Hebrew word, or Lashwan Kodash, for the word month is what? Kadash. Okay, Kadash, which is what? Month, as you can see. Or it says what? New moon. Okay, monthly. Okay, so the year it doesn't start by any other way by having that new moon. Once you have your new moon, then you can count the 6 days from from the beginning of the month, which is from your new moon, as you can see. And then you have your 7th day of rest, which is your Sabbath. That's your first week or the first cycle. And then then another 7 days is your second cycle, which be 14 days to bring the Passover. So you can't get to the Passover or even your first Sabbath without coming in, obviously, into having the new moon, which is your month. So the new moon, monthly, the first day of the month. It's clear. The lunar month, the first day of the month, right? The new moon, by implication, a month. New moon. I mean, we're saying it over and over, but people can't seem to get this, right? The new moon, the day of the new moon. The calends. Remember, we already looked up calends means to call out or to bring things in chronologically order. Even the priest of Rome would bring in the calendar by which they called by the new moon. All right, so that we just proved that there. So let's go back to the reading. All right. Okay. It says, okay, so and then the 15th day of the same month is the feast of unleavened bread unto the Lord 7 days. Unto the Lord 7 days ye must eat unleavened bread, right? And the first day ye shall have an holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work therein. So that's the second holy day of the new year, right? Because the new year is a month of Abib. You can find a month of Abib, and I believe Esther. We're just gonna matter of fact, I should just show you in the screen. Let me just show you in the screen. We'll go type in Abib. Right, if we go to oh no, it's in Exodus. Right? You first see it in Exodus. Okay, and yeah, I'll just show you. Right? It says, I'll start from 3. It says, and Moses said unto the people, remember this day in which ye came out of Egypt, out of the house of bondage, for by strength of the hand of the Lord brought you out from this place. There shall no leavened bread be eaten. This day came you out in the month of Abib. All right, so the Passover is in the beginning of the year. That's the first holy day in the beginning of the year. And that's the actual time that we came out of Egypt, when the Lord freed us out of Egypt. It was the month of Abib, right? And we celebrate the Passover, right? So that's what proves, like around springtime, March or April, around that time is when the Passover is, or the beginning of the year. Okay, and again, the Passover is around that time. It's the first, with lines of Leviticus 23, it's the first holy day of the year. Okay, this is when we came out of Egypt, the month of Abib. Right, now if we look up the word Abib, where is that? I just lost it, Salak. Oh, right here. What is that? Abayab, which is what? Fresh. It means fresh. Right? It means fresh, young barley, ears barley. Right? month of year forming, a greening of crop, growing green. Month of the Exodus, Passover. Okay, meaning to be tender. Okay, an ear of corn. So basically, when are things, well, let's say the beginning of the new moon. Well, see right there, the beginning of the new moon. That's the first day. That's how, of course, all months come in. But again, the month of Abib starts with, of course, the new moon, which brings in your first month. And again, we were delivered around the beginning of the year, right? But again, if you look at the word Abib, it means young, basically young or fresh, right? Which proves that would have to be spring. So, because in the springtime, things are, freshly green, like we just read. It says of grown green, right? A greening of crop, right? Young barley ears. Okay. So that's the beginning, which is, of course, brought forth by seed. Okay, so that would be the springtime. Spring means to spring forth. Okay, so young, the beginning, right? When something begins, it's young. Barley ears from corn, or barley ears. Young also means fresh, right? When a baby's born, another thing is to say, nickname is fresh. So spring is the fresh part of the year, the new year. That's the real new year. Barley, brewing. You could also the represents also barley and brewing, and grains that you would feed your stock with, your livestock. You can make or have cereal, which all comes from ears of corn, which that's where you get your grains, right? And that word was translated to Nisan when you go to the book of Esther, which Nisan means a month of flowers. So when do a month of flowers come forth? Is in the spring, right? April showers bring May flowers. That's the saying. I was remembered that when I was a kid, right? April, which is my favorite season. I was actually born in March. You know what I mean? My favorite, that's my favorite season of all the seasons. Not because of my death day, but, it's life, to me personally. So month of flowers. April showers bring May flowers. Month of flight. Okay, I just lost that one. Month of flight. Okay. Oh, okay. That's another one. Okay, the month of flight. Because why they called it the month of flight is because that's when we fled out of Egypt. Okay, you see that? You see that? So that's the month of Abib. That's when we fled out of Egypt, the month of flight. That's what the Babylonians call that. Nisan, but in the Hebrews, Abib. All right, and then you have your last month with it, which is Adar, which you can find in the book of Esther, is the last day or the last month of the year, which is your 12th month. And then after that last Sabbath, and your last Sabbath, right, you would get your new moon, and your new moon will bring in the month of Abib. So in the same month you have Adar and Abib. And Adar is a Babylonian word, like Apostle Ramla confirmed with me, and it means basically exceeding, right? Which really means extreme. So when you have something called like the prefix X, it means out from, or your extremities, like your hands or your arms or your legs, they're your extremities. They're at the far end. They extend, right? So X is the prefix, which means out of or from, right? So the outer part of the year, the furthest or the extremities or the extreme part of the year would be the last month of the year, which would be Adar. See, it all explains that, right? Out of, or something, if you call someone your ex-girlfriend, well, she's out of your life. She's X'd out, or she's away from you, right? So the 12th month of the year is out far. It's the last month of the year. It's an extremity, so to speak, right? It's exceeding down the line. So we get that, okay? All right, so almost done. So to continue, we're just going to skip in Leviticus 23. So the next one, so we proved that. So we go down to so I think I pretty much proved it. That was pretty much it. And when you go down to, you know, Leviticus 23 and 3, 23 and 15, it says, and ye shall count unto you from the morrow after the Sabbath, from the day that ye brought the sheaf to the wave offering, 7 Sabbaths should be complete. Even unto the morrow after the 7th Sabbath shall you number 50 days, and ye shall offer a new meat offering unto the Lord, which is 7 Sabbaths, which would be what? 7 times 7, which would be 49 days, or 49 days, 49 nights and 50 days, right? So that would be the Feast of Weeks, or the Feast of First Fruits, which is your third holy day, okay? And that brings in the harvest, right? So that makes sense that it would have to come from that from the new year, right? 7 Sabbaths after the first, 7 Sabbaths from the past. Let me not say the Passover. Yeah, after the Passover. Okay. So that's 50 days. Or it could be from the new year. I'm sorry. All right. And then you have your fourth, I'm just going to read it off. Your 7th month, the first day of the 7th month is the blowing of the trumpet. Okay. Another feast day, a harvest day, right? After all, your spring and your summer, growing your crops, and you gather all this to prepare for the winter, right? Which, like Apostle Ram said in his show, which is a dead season, right? So that's the whole thing of harvesting. And also the harvest is the first 7 to 7, the Feast of Weeks is to really give the first fruits, the Feast of First Fruits, honor onto Yahweh B'Shem Shai, right? Everything that's first, whether it be your first child, your first crops, whatever, you give on to Yahweh B'Shem Shai, your 7th month, blowing of the trumpets. And then the 10th day of the first 7th month would be the Day of Atonement, and the 15th day of the 7th month would be the Feast of Tabernacles. Okay, and then you have the your 7th holy day, which is Hanukkah, and your 8th is Purim in the book of Esther. Which is Purim, which means basically lots. Okay, so that was pretty much it. I just want to back up. Lord willing, through the Spirit, the Holy Spirit of understanding, the Godashukar, back up the apostles, man, and to share, that they once gave us a project like that, to create a calendar on our own, you know what I mean? Because let us critically think, and to prove, we already knew, but to prove even more for yourselves that there was no Saturday or Sunday and things of that nature, you know what I mean? And again, it's the most closest we know, because we're going according to the seasons. It lines up, but nothing's totally accurate yet, because this damn devil has falsely accused, which makes him the devil, has falsely accused what time is in itself. You know what I mean? So that proves this man's the devil, man, Esau, okay? In the nation of Edom, all right? And, and all these other camps that don't follow that this easy, plain understanding, they're out of their minds, man, okay? They don't got it, okay? And it proves that they don't care. They don't care about the kingdom. They don't care about teaching the right way. Because, again, when you care about something, you're going to rehearse it, and you're going to practice to the best to your ability. You know what I mean? You're going to practice the best of your ability, which shows you that you care. You know what I mean? So that's the energy I want to let. And then again, this was given us by the apostles to practice. Why? Because we care about these laws that was given to us. This is our heritage, man. So we got to get it right. You want to perform the right way on the game day, you got to practice hard and practice. If you want to perform hard in a concert, like Mike did, whatever, you got to perform hard and practice. So that was the point. So I think I had all the points. So with that, I pray you were edified, Lord willing, through the Spirit. And I'd like to say, Kal Halal, Yahweh B'Hashem, Yahushai B'Hashem, Ruach Kodesh. the water Yahweh for giving us Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS. Double honors to the CT bishops, elders of GMS, our big brothers, and salutations to the brothers in this country and all over the world, prophesying in the true name of Yahweh by Shemar Shai. All right. Shalom.